Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking a complete guide to the Diploma in Early Childhood Care and Education. So let's just dive right into this, because what we're talking about today, it holds immense high-stakes power. We aren't just talking about child's play here. We're talking about the literal foundation of a human being's future, and how we can actually, deliberately shape it. But first, let's get on the same page about what we're exactly dealing with. Early Childhood Care and Education, or ECCE for short, is defined as the basis for a child's learning and development from birth to around 8 years of age. And honestly, this definition brilliantly illustrates a crucial shift in perspective for anyone approaching this field. Because these educators, they aren't just babysitters keeping kids occupied until they're old enough for quote-unquote real school. No, they are the literal architects of the human brain during its absolute most active and formative window. The scope of this impact is just massive. Why do these early years matter so much? Because quality ECE supports healthy brain development right out of the gate. It promotes those absolutely essential language and communication skills, and it builds emotional independence. On top of that, it encourages creativity and curiosity and deeply prepares children for conventional schooling later on. Basically, getting this early phase right dictates a huge portion of a child's future academic success, their social skills, and their long-term mental wellness. So here's our agenda for today. We'll start with number 1, shaping the early years. Then 2, inside the ECCE diploma. 3, real-world application. 4, essential tools for educators. And finally, 5, avoiding common teaching mistakes. All right, let's jump straight into section 1, shaping the early years. 8, that is the magic number here. The source material really emphasizes that the time frame from birth up to 8 years of age is absolutely the most important window for learning, brain development, and mental wellness. This exact time frame is where quality education most heavily impacts a child's problem-solving skills and their lifelong habits. Honestly, if we miss this window, trying to play catch-up later is just significantly harder. Moving on to section 2, inside the ECCE diploma. What's fascinating about this diploma is how perfectly it balances academic theory with immediate practical classroom action. Looking at the theoretical side, you're studying child growth and development, child psychology, health, safety, and nutrition, as well as observation and assessment. But then you take all of that and bridge it right into practice with things like learning through play, lesson planning, classroom management, and creative teaching methods. It's really not just about knowing why a child behaves a certain way, it's about knowing exactly what to do next to effectively support them. And as you might guess, this balance translates directly into some serious real-world advantages. For childcare professionals, having this diploma acts as a real powerhouse toolkit. It opens up clear chances to step into roles at preschools and kindergartens. It increases your core teaching and classroom management skills, and it significantly improves your overall employability. But perhaps most importantly, it really boosts your everyday confidence when you're in the room with young learners, promoting true, lasting career development in early years education. Now you might be thinking, what if I'm not looking for a classroom career? Well, this education isn't just for professionals. For parents, the benefits are incredibly profound. Taking a course like this means gaining a much deeper knowledge about your own child's development, which allows you to provide much more robust support for their learning at home. It naturally leads to improved parent-child connections and honestly, seriously enhances your communication with your child's teachers. You basically become an informed, active partner in their holistic growth at home. That brings us to section 3, real-world application. Let's see what this looks like in action. So imagine a preschool teacher in a bustling classroom. Now, they aren't just standing there lecturing toddlers, because let's be real, anyone who has ever met a toddler knows that would literally never work. Instead, this trained educator is utilizing storytelling, music, and hands-on activities to teach things like colors, numbers, and language. They're actively building a child's confidence and communication skills right there on the rug, through guided music and play. It's that theory of learning through play happening in real time. Now, picture a second scenario, an informed parent at home. Armed with this knowledge of child psychology and growth from the diploma, they aren't just plopping their kid in front of the TV. Instead, they're developing custom puzzles, setting up dedicated reading time, and planning specific art projects right in their own living room. They're actively applying child psychology to nurture curiosity and independence in a safe, familiar space, and they're tailoring it exactly to their child's current developmental stage. This kind of education also helps build highly structured days, which kids absolutely crave. A typical daycare schedule, for instance, might start with circle time to establish a sense of connection. Then it moves into story sharing, flowing smoothly into creative activities. After that, we've got outdoor activities for physical growth, followed by music and movement, and finally, rounding out with reflection time. By walking through these specific steps, educators create incredibly supportive, age-appropriate daily routines. This exact mix of learning, playing, and social interaction is exactly how children learn to feel secure and acquire essential life skills. Okay, let's move right into Section 4, Essential Tools for Educators. The great news here is you really don't need a high-tech lab to teach a young child effectively. The fundamental practical tools we're talking about include play-based learning, so think games, role-playing, and building blocks to enhance problem-solving. Then there are observation journals, which are just simple, consistent notes kept by the teacher to carefully track developmental milestones. And of course, visual learning resources like flashcards, charts, and puppets. Mixing these traditional tools helps kids learn naturally because it meets their developing brains exactly where they are. But here's a surprising modern curveball for you. The source material points out that educators can now leverage artificial intelligence in early childhood education. Now, to be clear, this is not about using AI to teach the kids directly, but rather to support the teacher. Educators can use AI tools to develop lesson plan ideas, make classroom worksheets, design learning activities, generate age-appropriate storytelling suggestions, and, crucially, manage all that endless classroom paperwork way more efficiently. Basically, AI handles the heavy administrative lifting, so the teacher actually has more energy for the kids in the room. However, the guide offers an absolutely crucial reminder on this topic. It says, we need to employ AI to help with education, but we need to keep meaningful human engagement with children. So the takeaway here is that while tech is incredibly helpful behind the scenes for the adults, real human connection, we're talking eye contact, empathy, patience, that remains the absolute, irreplaceable core of early childhood education. And finally, let's dive into Section 5, Avoiding Common Teaching Mistakes. One major mistake is focusing purely on academic skills. The correct approach? We need to be nurturing emotional, social, and physical growth right alongside those academics. Think about it. If you just drill a 5-year-old on math and letters but totally ignore their social skills or emotional regulation, you are missing a massive developmental window for their overall well-being. It absolutely has to be a holistic approach. Another incredibly common pitfall is ignoring individual learning differences. Constantly comparing children to one another is just detrimental, especially during these super early years. Instead, a trained educator will observe, adapt their teaching, and truly celebrate individual developmental rates without trying to rush them along to meet some arbitrary standard. And finally, we have this very modern problem of overloading children with too many scheduled activities. To avoid total burnout, we really must mix structured routines with unstructured play, rest, discovery, and interaction. Believe it or not, children actually learn best when their little brains have a chance to rest, process everything, and just engage in open-ended discovery. Ultimately, the source material drives home one really powerful truth. Good teacher-parent partnerships lead to better learning for children. You can have the best, most equipped classroom in the world, but ultimate success relies heavily on strong, continuous communication between the teacher and the home. A child truly thrives when both of those environments are working together as a team. So I'll leave you with this question. Are you ready to shape the future of a child? Whether you want to step into a formal classroom as a career or you just want to deeply support the growth of your own kids at home, this foundational knowledge is out there waiting for you. Think about how you can apply these frameworks to the young learners in your own life. Thanks so much for diving into this explainer with me today, and as always, keep learning.